We know almost nothing about Richard. We have his birth date, we have his death date, and I think there's one court record in between which says he was fined 12 pence for not attending church.
Quite useful for a novelist.
Yes, I mean, I love that. I mean, there were two other brothers, Edmund and Giles, and we know that Edmund became an actor in London. Giles, I think, was a haberdasher. We know little about them. Edmund is buried in what is now Southwark Cathedral, but Richard is a complete mystery. I mean, most people have assumed that he never left Stratford, which seems quite possible. But as you say, it's useful because I've got this real character who lived, about whom we know nothing, so we're off to the races.
You are off to the races, and you're off to theatre land in London in the middle of the 1590s. And the two brothers, Richard and William, who's older, don't really get on at all. And
they don't get on.
Professional rivalry because Richard wants to be an actor.
Yeah, there's a lot of resentment from Richard that his elder brother isn't helping him enough. And in many ways this was deliberate because I wanted to keep William slightly at arm's length. I mean, although the book is about his play and about the book is putting on a play, it's hubristic, to say the least, to run
muskets and bayonets and swords.
I'm not sure it was a relief. This is a book I wanted to write. I wanted to write very badly, partly out of a passion for the theatre.
Having made up a story about Will Shakespeare and his brother Richard, do you feel you know him better?
No. I'm not sure you can know Will. I know a lot more about the circumstances of his life, the problems they had running a theatre. He was one of the sharers, one of the owners. But to pierce that genius, the mind that can come up with those words.
Fools and mortals, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello, Jim talking to Bernard Call. I didn't feel I could interrupt that rather stately music, but I have to because it's time for Thought for the Day at 12 minutes to 8. And the speaker here in the studio this morning is the Reverend Dr. Rob Marshall, who is priest at St John's Digswell in Welwyn Garden City. Good morning.
Good morning, Justin. This week's crime survey of England and Wales hardly makes for comfortable reading. The statistics show not only a growing volume of rise in violent crime, it's obvious too that the nature of criminal activity is also changing. One of the reasons the BBC has decommissioned its long-running Crime Watch programme is explained by one of its founding presenters, Nick Ross, as because the world has changed beneath its feet. Criminologists now analyse abuse, laundering and fraud, increasingly hidden away online without traditional boundaries. And I'm not at all sure that we're fully aware of the additional pressures all this places the country. The Chief Constable of Norfolk Police, Simon Bailey, talked this week of reassessing priorities at what he said was a critical time when the police service is facing unparalleled growth in complex crime. And yet none of this changes the underlying expectation of the majority in society that the rule of law still needs to be upheld. Victims of crime are still victims of crime. Perpetrators still need to be brought to justice. The challenge may well be more complex, but it has nevertheless to be faced. I first read Dostoevsky's classic Crime and Punishment as a teenager, but I don't think I fully grasped the extent to which the orthodox New Testament understanding of dealing with right and wrong according to our own individual conscience and experience, as well as in the eyes of God, undergirds this extremely dark novel. The battle here in dealing with the actual consequences of criminal behaviour overtly reflects Jesus' teaching that what he calls the kingdom of God is only to be experienced or will only be established where we choose to exercise our God-given freedom.